What is there to do in Bellagio, Italy? 16 things, and the one I do first has no ticket window on it. Bellagio has a reputation for being expensive, and most of that is the hotels. The list underneath has a Napoleonic garden with a Moorish pavilion in it, a castle with plaster ghosts sitting on its walls, and a chapel up in the hills where racing bicycles hang from the ceiling. That's the shape of it, and the free one is where I'd start. Number 1. Punta Spartivento is a 10-minute walk uphill from where the boats come in, at the very top of the peninsula. The name means the point that divides the wind, and it's literal. Lake Como is shaped like an upside-down Y, and this is where all three arms meet. You get the Alps closing off the far end, Varenna across the water to your right, Menaggio away to your left, and a flat little park of clipped plane trees with benches under them. There's a stone beach and a stairway down if you want to get in the water. No gate, nobody selling tickets. The first time I walked out here, I'd turned up an hour early for a boat by accident, and I had the whole point almost to myself. The next one on the list is the only ticket in town I'd argue for. Number 2. Come back down the other side of the peninsula, and you hit the gardens that made this shoreline famous. Villa Melzi was laid out between 1808 and 1813 for Napoleon's vice president in Italy, a man called Francesco Melzi d'Eril, and the grounds run the best part of half a mile along the water. There's a Moorish pavilion out on the promenade, a small white kiosk with a silver onion dome, and Franz Liszt is supposed to have worked on part of his Dante symphony inside it. There's a lily pond with an iron footbridge over it, a family chapel that doubles as the mausoleum, a grotto, some deliberately fake ruins, and the old orange house, which is now a small museum of Napoleonic odds and ends. €10, children free, open daily from the end of March to the end of October. Number 3, 11 miles of footpath sit on the hillside directly over the town, and you can't walk into a single one of them on your own. The park of Villa Serbelloni has belonged to the Rockefeller Foundation since 1959, which runs the villa itself as a conference center, and the grounds open by guided tour only. You book it at the tourist office on Piazza della Chiesa, which is inside a rough gray medieval tower next to the church, and the walk goes out twice a day, morning and mid-afternoon, every day except Monday, roughly April to the start of November. 30 people maximum. It runs about 90 minutes, and the first half is a climb, so if you're carrying bad knees or a stroller, this one isn't for you. Everybody else gets the top of the promontory, with all three arms of the lake below and the whole town sitting on the point. Number 4, Varenna is the one everybody tells you to go and see instead of Bellagio, and after 2 visits, I think they're half right. It's 15 to 20 minutes across the water on the slow boat, and it's smaller, quieter, and easier to fall for. Villa Monastero is the headline, a monastery from the end of the 12th century turned into a long butter-yellow estate on the shore with a botanical garden holding over 900 plant species, then climb to Vezio Castle above the town. It's 1,000 years old, a square stone keep inside a low battlemented wall, and it's 30 minutes uphill on staircases, so wear shoes with grip. Scattered around the terraces are white plaster ghosts, hooded and faceless, sitting on the parapet looking down the lake. Don't go up expecting the falconry displays, though. They've stopped. On the way back down, walk the lover's path along the water and look for Fumulate, a river so short it barely qualifies, dropping white between 2 houses. The crossing is €4.60 one way. 2 links sit under this video. One is a travel guide that has saved me real money on trips shaped like this one. The other is a handful of tour operators around this lake that I think are worth the booking fee. That is everything that's down there. Number 5. The casino in Las Vegas is named after this place. A designer came here on holiday in the mid-90s, went home, and talked Steve Wynn out of building a French-themed resort. So it's worth knowing what the original looks like. Bellagio's old town is really 2 towns, one along the water and one above it. Down at lake level, you get arcades and awnings. Behind them, stepped lanes climb straight into the hillside, and Villa Serbelloni is the famous one, a cobbled staircase between ochre houses with green shutters and geraniums on every balcony. It's a staircase, not a street, so leave the wheeled suitcase at the hotel. Calzolaria Rolando, halfway up the steps, has been making shoes and bags by hand in the same family since 1949. A few doors along, and Zalea has sold Camo silk out of the same shop for over 60 years. Down on the front, it's a different business. That arcade is where the view gets priced in, and I've paid that price for a meal once and wouldn't do it twice. Number 6. So where do you eat? Up the steps. Trattoria San Giacomo sits on Villa Serbelloni and shuts on Tuesdays. Antichi Sapori on Via Centrale costs less than anything with a view, and there's pizza at Ristoro Forma Augusto when you've had enough of being impressed. But knowing what to order matters more than any of those names, because this lake has its own food and it does not travel. Risotto with perch fillets is the one to get, made with butter and no saffron, the fish floured and fried in sage. Misaltini are shad, salted, dried in the sun and pressed flat in tins, then grilled and served with polenta, which is a preservation trick older than refrigeration and tastes like it. Ask for lavarello and you get lake whitefish. Ask for talc and you get the local polenta, which almost nothing outside this valley does. Number 7. In 1787, a cardinal bought an old monastery on a wooded point sticking into the west shore and turned it into the most photographed house on Lake Como. Villa del Balbianello is cream walls and terracotta roofs on a narrow spit of rock with 2 slim white bell towers, huge clipped domes of ilex, and a carved stone loggia looking straight down the water. Star Wars shot the wedding here. Casino Royale put James Bond in the garden. From Bellagio you take a boat to Leno, then a shuttle from the dock, under 10 minutes, going every 20 or so, €8. Book the entry slot ahead in July and August and on any weekend because the time tickets sell out. Half an hour along the Greenway path is Villa Carlotta at Tremizzina, formal terraces, box parterres, and camellias. Of everything on this lake I've paid to walk into, Balbianello is the one I'd queue for. Number 8. Every villa along this shoreline was built to be looked at from the water, which is why so many of them disappoint from the road. On the land side, you get walls, gates, and planting. From out in the middle, you get the terraces, the boathouses, and the stairs coming down to the jetty. Boats go from the Bellagio lakefront, either a taxi service by the hour or a small hire you drive yourself, and the useful part is that you can put people ashore at a villa, let them tour it, and collect them afterwards. One traveler I came across brought a couple of bottles of local wine aboard and pulled in close to the shore rather than paying bar prices on a tour. 2 hours out there will teach you more about this lake than a full day on the front. Number 9. Nobody comes to this town for a beach holiday, but there is swimming. Lido di Bellagio sits between the town and the Villa Melzi grounds, sand brought in, white canopied daybeds, a bistro through the day, and a bar with music at night. San Giovanni's little strand down the shore is the quieter version. What you're getting into is an alpine lake with mountains standing over it, and it feels like one. One thing about picking your week, avoid the middle of August if you possibly can, because a lot of Lombardy shuts its factories around Ferragosto and the whole region comes to the water, so you get Italian crowds on top of the foreign ones and a share of the businesses closed behind them. Number 10. There's a little road train that loops the town for 25 minutes, red and cream and dressed up as a steam engine, leaving from Lungo Lario Manzoni in front of the car ferry, roughly every half hour, 10 in the morning until 6, March to the start of November. Plenty of people can't do the steps in this town, and this is the way around them. I'd check it's running before you build a day on it, though. People have turned up mid-season and found nobody at the stop who could say whether it was going out at all. Number 11. Somewhere in the late 1000s, the Comacini masters put up the church on the main square. 3 naves, Romanesque Lombard, pale gray stone with a heavy bell tower on the left of the front. That one used to be a watchtower before somebody converted it, and it carries 5 bells cast by the Pruneri foundry over in Sondre. Inside the Basilica of San Giacomo, there's a triptych by Vincenzo Foppa from 1432, a deposition of Christ from the school of Perugino, and a crucifix from the 12th century. It's dark in there in the middle of the day, and that's the architecture doing its job. Romanesque means thick walls and small windows. It's also free to walk into, which on this lake is worth saying out loud. Number 12. Walk over the neck of the peninsula, 10 or 15 minutes from the main square, and you come out at Pescallo on the Lecco Arm, a bay full of moored dinghies with an old stone tower house at one end. It was a fishing hamlet, and back around the start of the 13th century it sent more fish to the market at Como than anywhere else on this promontory. Almost nobody who steps off the ferries walks over. The town publishes its own route linking L'Appia, San Giovanni, Suira, and Pescallo, about 2 hours end to end and free, and L'Appia has a Romanesque church from the end of the 900s standing on the grass right at the water. From the beach at Pescallo, a 90-minute sunset kayak goes out under the Rockefeller Cliffs and past the Grand Hotel Villa Serbelloni. I'd take that walk over the shopping street every time. If the list is doing its job, a like helps it reach the next person who typed the same thing you did. Number 13. In a tall white house down in San Giovanni, half an hour's walk south along the shore, blue shutters and a sundial painted across the end wall, one man spent a lifetime collecting the instruments people use to find their way at sea. Johnny Genie's museum holds Venetian telescopes from the 1700s, brass compasses, folding wooden sundials, marine chronometers, an armillary sphere, and ship's logs from the 1800s. It's open 10 until 1, closed Mondays, and Italy's culture ministry lists it. 60 seconds inside and you understand why somebody in a lake town 300 miles from the sea got obsessed with the open ocean. Number 14. Menaggio is the flat one. It's a quarter of an hour over on the west shore, the historic center sits level, the promenade is wide, and Pozza Garibaldi is where the town gathers in the evening, a big pale square ringed with pink and yellow houses and a bell tower behind. There's the Church of Santo Stefano, a lido, a golf course up the hill, and easy walks of a couple of miles from the middle of town. As a base, it's the best value of the three. As a third stop on a day trip, it's a mistake, and the reason is the dock. A man who lives on this lake told me he budgets 90 minutes for Varenna and 2 hours for Bellagio, and on the streets alone, he's right. What eats the rest is queuing. Boats around the triangle run 3 or 4 an hour. The Bellagio pier is the worst of the three to wait at, and the fast ones can't be paid for on board and sell out by late morning in season. Buy those at the window first thing, pick 2 towns, and let the timetable have the third. Number 15. Half an hour down the shore road on the C30 bus is a village called Nesso, and a ravine has cut it in half. 2 streams meet in the gorge and drop into the lake underneath a stone humpback bridge, with an ochre building on one side and gray stone houses with red shutters on the other, all of it stacked up the rock. Nobody charges you to look at the Orado di Nesso. Buy the bus ticket before you board, at a tobacconist or a bar, because the driver won't sell you one, and check the timetable on a Sunday when the service gets thin. Go between March and June if you can, when the snowmelt is coming off the mountains and the water in there is loud. Number 16. There is a chapel above this lake where the bicycles hang from the ceiling. Racing frames from the last 100 years strung up over the vault with team pennants across the beams and hundreds of small oval photographs of dead riders on the wall. In the middle of the floor, a bronze torch has been burning since 1948 for cyclists killed on Italian roads. And in 1949, Pope Pius XII made the Madonna del Ghisallo their official patron. It's up at Menaggio, and the road to it starts on the Bellagio waterfront. 6.5 miles, about 1,800 feet of climbing, 9% for the first stretch, 14 at the worst of it, and riders have been racing this exact climb in the Giro di Lombardia since 1919. Next door is the Cycling Museum, glass and stone with a curved roof, holding the machines the champions actually rode. I don't cycle. I stood in that chapel longer than I stood in any villa on this lake. Come back down to the water and wait, because something happens in Bellagio about 20 minutes after the last fast boat leaves. The queue on the dock is gone. The waiters stop working the doorways. Lanes that were shoulder to shoulder at 2 in the afternoon have 4 people and a cat on them. The town that gets photographed all summer is the crowded, expensive 3-hour version of a place that keeps much better hours than that. So walk back out to the point in the evening when the water has gone flat and gray and there is almost nobody standing there with you, looking down 3 arms of the lake at the Alps for nothing at all.